9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
It's nice to be back. It's nice to be home. This is home, and I appreciate every one of you. You're my family. You're my siblings, and love you to bits. Missed you. For anyone who's a guest with us tonight, I don't know if I've seen you before. No? Hello? Nice to meet you. Say hi, everybody. There's a couple of... It'll be nice to maybe introduce ourselves to you later, but thanks for being here. Like I was saying, if you're a guest, we welcome you dearly. If it's just a flying visit, that's great. Take something from what we are and be on your way. Or if we can be a place where you can call this home too, then that'll be great as well. I was listening to a Super Soul Sunday. I don't know whether any of you watched that. Oprah Winfrey Super Soul Sunday, I absolutely adore. And I don't often watch it on a Sunday. I watch it in the middle of the night on the days of the week when I can't sleep. But there was a particular thing on, and it was talking about how you keep a marriage together. Ooh, that's a good one, isn't it? Oh. Anthony and I have been married 25 years. No, we haven't. We've been married 40 years on the 25th of September. Heck, got that wrong way around, didn't I? So when this article came on and I was listening to it, it was talking about how you keep a marriage together. I thought, oh, I'll listen to that and see if there's anything I can glean and, for the next 40. Yeah? The next 40. And something was said which really got me. It was a story of a taxi driver who was from another country, was singing his head off, and there was a couple newlyweds in the back of the taxi, and he's singing, and he said to the newlyweds, "How long have you been married?" And they said 6 weeks, and he says, "That's great." He says, "Do you sing together?" And of course they thought it was a bit silly question, do you sing together? And he went on to say that it was really good to sing because what singing does, it unites the pair of you. And I just thought this was really sweet, but this was the thing. And it reminded of me of what I've now come to understand as our getting together as the church. And he asked this, he says, do you have a crucial element, a weekly sacrament, listen to this, a regular affirmation of the devotion and joy at the core of what you're building together? Shall I read that again? Do you have a crucial element, a weekly sacrament, a regular reaffirmation of the devotion and joy at the core of what you're building together? Now, that hit me because I thought, that's not just about marriage. That's to do about anything that you commit to, because unless there's a regular reaffirmation of the devotion, of the reason why you're building something together, you'll never do it. So here's my point. This is a reaffirmation of the devotion and the joy that's at the core of what we're building together. Now, if anybody thinks, oh, well, we're just here because we just want to, be religious or whatever, that's the furthest thing from our minds. We want to reaffirm the devotion we have to something which has given the joy into our lives, and namely, that is Jesus Christ and his Father, who we know to be God, but that's such a generic term. We know him to be the Abba, the Father of Jesus, who is the Father of us all. And so I just want to encourage you tonight, don't just be here because it's a routine thing, although it is good to have a weekly sacrament. Be here because you've come to reaffirm the devotion of the joy of what we're building together. I hope you get that. Okay. Just enjoy this time of singing, because we're going to sing together, which is going to reaffirm our devotion. And whatever goes on tonight, I just trust that you will feel something Because it's not just about what you hear, it's about what you feel. And can we transmit something of the experience that we have had? And I hope we can do that tonight. So welcome, especially you young people at the back. Hi there, it's good to see you. We're very laid back here. We're very laid back. We like to have a good time. But what we also like to do is be respectful of each other. Be respectful, because the point is we're all wanting to learn something and enjoy something. So providing we're respectful of each other, it's going to be a good night, isn't it? So you can sit, you can stand, you can do what you want, but let's at least reaffirm that devotion that we have for what we're building. Okay, so would you take it away, guys?
I know you understand. made the mountains and the seas, created every living thing, all creatures great and small. He knows my name, every step that I take, every move that I make, every tear that I cry. He knows my name. joy comes with the morning. And when the oceans rage, I don't have to be afraid, because I know that you love me. And your love never fails.
those awesome words. You are the voice of hope, the anchor of my soul. We just think of those who are really going through a difficult patch right now. We think of Betty Wright and Chris Brown and various other people, Lord, a part of this family who are going through difficult times and just need to just feel that sense of hope within them. Lord, we raise them up before you, and we just, Father, that they will know your embrace. They will know that your loving arms around them. They will know absolutely of a certainty that you are their shepherd and you are leading them, albeit through the valley of the shadow of death. I just know, Father, that they'll fear no evil because you are with them. And Lord, we just give you praise tonight for this time that we've shared together. We're glad, Lord, that you have done so much for us. And we're glad that we can pay that forward, Father, with our love for each other and for this world. So, Father, as we carry on with this service tonight, we just ask, Lord, that you will keep speaking to us and reveal more of yourself to us. We ask this in your name. Amen. Thank you, Jesus. Amen.
Hello. Where's Beth? Where's Beth at? Where is she? She's not here. It's an Urban Life takeover. It's happening. So, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Charmaine.
I'm Caleb. And I'm Denham. You probably haven't seen me before.
And we are the Urban Life stage team. So, we're bringing to you a new stage event for people, well, for the young people who are age 11 to 17.
She's got all the details on her hands.
I have. I'm so organised with all of them on my hand. Yeah. So it's £3 to come in. Do you want to?
Yeah, we're going to have loads of games and songs that we're going to be doing. So if any of you remember any of the old Urban Rev, the Energized stuff, it's going to be somewhat akin to that. Yeah, something like that. Denham, anything to say? Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, so should all be excited about it.
So just for a little taster of what Urban Live is going to be like, we thought we would bring you a messy game. Ooh. Can I get a ooh?
Have any of you ever seen mouth guards before? We have these with us today, and let's find Denham one.
Yeah. Get
if
our lovely model to try one on.
Look out, ladies. So, as you can see, you get to see all his dental work really well. So if you're not a fan of your teeth, I wouldn't recommend coming up for this game.
Or if you wear fake teeth. If you don't have real teeth, I wouldn't advise it.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to have our very own Denham versus one adult versus one child of Urban Live age. So if you'd like to play the game...
Any volunteers to show off your teeth?
First between the ages of 11 to 17.
Where you at? Come on. I can see you.
Get one of you at the back? Yeah, come on.
Come on then. Come on down.
Oh yeah, and we're going to give you bin bags so that you
sort Denham out with a bin bag.
It's going to be a bit
It's
dirty.
going to get a bit messy.
We hope so anyway. And we need an adult, so who wants to come up and do it? Yeah? Do you want to come up? Yeah? Afraid I don't know your name, so we'll have to learn that one. Yeah, maybe not actually. Is that right? Yeah. All right. Here is your mouth guard. You want to pop it in like he's got. There you go. Mouth in. No, that's fine. Oh no, it's not. No, it was. Yeah, you were right.
Yeah, like that.
Oh no, it wasn't. All right, there we go. Now we're finally set up.
Okay.
Give everyone a smile.
Should we get his bin back on?
Oh yeah. You're going to want to put this bin bag on your head. 'Cause it will get a bit messy. Stick that on your head. Let's get it on you. And have we got anything else we need to set up? All right. So you can see we're pouring 3 cups of water, and we have with us 2 twirls. And the aim of the game here is the first person to eat a finger of twirl, drink a cup of water, and then say into one of our microphones the words mouthguard madness. Do you want to practice?
Mouthguard madness.
Perfect.
Mouthguard madness.
And do you want to practice? Come on, you're up here. Cover your teeth. Cover your teeth. Come on. Mouthguard madness.
Mouthguard madness.
Perfect. The letter P is the hardest to say, so we at least didn't give you that. I think we're more or less ready. Shaman.
What does the winner get, Caleb?
The winner gets the final piece of twirl. Ooh. But it's on the table, and if it gets a bit wet, then it will still be the prize. We don't have anything in backup, so.
Keep clear.
Keep clear, yes, I agree. There will be a splash zone.
You've got to keep the mouth guard in at all times.
No
if it gets
talking at this
taken
point.
out, you're disqualified. You're cut off. That is it. Okay, right. Wait. Pause. Come on. It's got to be fair. Right, are you ready?
Twirl first. Got to eat the full
On your
twirl
mark.
before you start on the cup
Get
of water.
set. Go.
All right.
Oh.
Let's
You're
have a
just
look at
gonna
what
finish the
Denham's doing. He's opted for the horse
Have we-
tactic of just grinding the food down. Oh, he's just stuffed it all in. I feel like that's...
Oh, we're onto the water.
He's going straight for it. I tell you, it's messy. No hands on
Good
the
luck
mouth
to the
guard.
cleaning
No
team.
hands on the mouth guard. Get your hands off.
Oh.
Oh, she's done the water.
Oh my goodness.
Hey, we have a winner.
We have a winner. Oh my goodness. Can we get a close-up on this? Which camera? Come on. This is amazing.
Denham, have your cup of water to wash it down. I don't know how she did it so well. Or did she not at all? Is it all on the floor?
Well, it's a bit messy on the floor, but I think...
It's better than Denham.
Oh. And it's out. That's it.
Oh, there's a lot of dribble. Ah, well.
It popped out.
Right. And here is your prize. Oh, it's for you. Oh, thank you. I'll keep it for myself then. I'm the real winner.
So...
I think that's everything.
Time to wrap up.
Yeah, if you want to come along to Urban Live, it starts this Friday at 7:30. Yeah, that's right.
£3 entry. Unless you bring a friend, then you and your friend both get in free.
It's a good deal, that.
Yeah.
So yeah, as we say, well, yeah, you want to have friends if you want to get in for free. So yeah, we'll do this game again. So if you fancy having a go, then come along. There'll be other games. We'll be playing some songs. There'll be videos. Some of them are rubbish. Some of them are even more rubbish. Yes, but you're not drinking alcohol before you come. So.
We're going to hand it over to the pay it forward section now while our lovely cleaners clean our mess up.
There you go. Thank you very much.
tell you something, it's a bit rare when I'm the sensible one on I know, I can't believe it. Anyway, welcome. A big hearty welcome to new people who may well be wondering whether they've lost their mind. As you can see there on our wall, we have unconventional by design. It's really important to us to push boundaries, to throw things up in the air that are traditional in church and think, why should we do it like that? We are people living our lives out freely and with grace. So welcome along. And indeed, buonasera. Buonasera. We have some Italian friends with us, I believe, today. Well, buonasera e benvenuto. That's all I've got. Gelato, ciao. Okay, right. Now then, yeah. Do you know what? It just reminds me of a particular scene in a film, A Fish Called Wanda, when he's trying to seduce somebody and she loves Italian, but he can't speak Italian, so he just starts saying things like gorgonzola, mozzarella, and she falls into bed. Anyway, unconventional by design. Thanks. Okay, now, stewards, get ready to come down to the front to pay it forward. As we're coming into this sort of season, as we're moving out of summer and into autumn, you'll see all the leaves changing on the trees, and they're absolutely beautiful this time of year. And some of you may go to Roundtree Park. Is it Roundtree Park? Yeah. Some of you might use Valley Gardens if you're at Harrogate Way. Some of the big parks that have been put there simply for the people. And you'll notice, the beautiful trees and the beautiful flowers. And what has been striking me of late about these particular places is most of these were planted about 100, 150 years ago, even longer. The people who planted them had absolutely no chance of benefiting from the beauty. No chance. And I think so often we get to a stage where when we're asked for things, whether it's our time, whether it's our loyalty, whether it's our money, our initial instinct is, well, what do I get back? What do I get back as a result of putting that in? And, the people who planted those beautiful trees and beautiful gardens for our benefit, rather than asking, what do I get? They ask themselves, well, what am I leaving? What shall I leave? And I think so often in the stuff that we're doing, and when we pay it forward and when we put our money in the boxes there, we've got absolutely no chance of seeing the fruition and the harvest of it. We do sometimes we see some immediate results from things in the city. But actually, people come, they go. We see people, it might be a word from Chris and Anth somewhere across the world. It might be a word from Chris and Anth somewhere in here or from somebody else. We don't know how that seed is growing and how lives are changing and the legacy that you're leaving, the things that we're sowing into people. So as you go around this week, if you notice any of those beautiful trees, first of all, take great pleasure in them because they are gorgeous. But then be thankful for the person who planted that for you, because they thought, what am I leaving rather than what's in it for me? So as we pay it forward tonight, just be thinking, what am I leaving here? What's the legacy as I sow into the house? Absolutely, faithfully believing that we're going to take this and use it to the best of our knowledge and the best of our wisdom. Just be thinking and be proud. I think it's important to be proud and to be honourable to the legacy that you're leaving. So guys, take it away. Anth is back tonight. Huzzah! So that's fabulous, and we're looking forward to hearing from him. And all the kids are out tonight, so that's groovy as well. We're going to have an in-deep meeting in the main hall on Wednesday. So that's 7:30. You're all welcome, whether you're just passing through. In-deep is really just taking a bit of a deeper dive in some thinking. It might be in some scripture, in some stuff that's on Anth's heart, but it gives us a chance to really chew stuff over. We've got about an hour and a half, so it's a bit longer than we have here, so it's great. It's a real soul food night. You really do go away enriched. So it'd be great to see everybody here on Wednesday. Dance classes start up again next week, so do have a look at the website for those lesson times. On the 1st of October, you should have received a letter about the evening that we're going to have. A little bit like I've just described, very often, you know, we do New Year's resolutions, but there's something about this time of the year that invokes a sense of what now, where we go, in a sense of sort of newness and resolution and repurposing. And that's exactly what's going to be happening on the 1st of October. And actually, it's going to be a chance for the leaders of the house to really share what's the vision, a sense of repurpose, a sense of plugging back in. Like any relationship, it can get stale. You get up, you do your thing, you go to bed, rinse and repeat. And sometimes, I'm not saying everybody, but sometimes we can come here more out of habit than out of real purpose and real connection and really feeling that we can make a difference and understanding where we're going. So the 1st of October is going to really bring that to us. There is going to be food afterwards. And we invite you to come along to that. Now, we normally say, bring as many people as you can. It's really, really important to do that, you know. And we are an incredibly inclusive house. But think back to what Chris said at the start. What she read out, she read, to reaffirm the devotion of the joy of what we're building together. So we're really keen for the people to be here to be saying, a bit like the donkey in Shrek, pick me. I want to reaffirm. I want to be on the journey. You know, where's it going? What's my part in that? So really, you know, for those of you, and if that's you and you're new and you think, yeah, from what I've seen already, it's something is important to me to be here. Come. We'd be absolutely delighted to see you because it's going to be an amazing night. Okay, finally, Rockefellers. Right, you've got the Real Ale Trail. Did we sort out, where's Jan? Did we sort out, Jan, whether you were allowed? Well, they're not allowing you. There was a bit of rebellion last week, Dave. He's gone. All right, there was a bit of rebellion. The Real Ale Trail, 25th of September. It's for the fellas, but there was a bit of rebellion last week in terms of the women wanted to come as well. So I'll leave that to thrash that out with Dave, but do a double check, Dave, with all the details. Anthony, it's my last one. Bear with me, caller. Okay, and the last other thing for Rockefellers is on Sunday, October the 16th, they're going to have a Rockefellers footy golf. So it's going to be an 11 a.m. tee-off at York Foot Golf in Skelton. It's a tenner to reserve your place, and that gets you 18 holes, and some drinks and food are going to be available in the clubhouse for a little bit of extra cost. So if that's something that you want to go to, please see Dave. He's gorgeous. He's about to wave now. Dave, wave. Thanks. Do go and see him if you're a man or, you know, a woman dressed up as a man and want to go. He just needs to reserve the place by October 2nd. I'm done, Anth. I'm so sorry I took so long. Welcome back, darling.
I know you're afraid. I feel the same way too. I know you're insecure. 'Cause I've done the things you do. I know that road to nowhere begins with shame. I know some days you have to crash and burn and learn and start again. But do you know your love? No matter where you've been, do you know you're loved? Will you let that in? Do you know you're loved? Just because you're you. Do you know you're loved? By God, I hope you do. I know you've had it rough. road's been smooth. I know what heartbreak feels like. My heart got broken in two. I know you fell to pieces and felt the pain. I know each day can be an opportunity to start again. So do you know your love? No matter where you've been, do you know your love? Will you let that in? Do you know your love? Just because you're you, do you know your love? By God, I hope you do. Because hurt people, and round it all goes again. But love people love, and only love can break the chains. So do you know your love? No matter where you've been, do you know your love? Will you let that in? Do you know your love? Just because you're you, do you know your love? By God, I hope you do.
All right, thanks, Dan and the boys. Whoever's not supposed to be here shouldn't be here, but I have no clue who shouldn't. Not everyone, like all the kids. So Lifestone, Little Lifestone, and Crash, you are free to clear off. All right. I think, has Elle just gone? Elle should be in. Where's Elle? All right, all I wanted to say about that is we said goodbye to Alice 3 weeks ago, going off to Bradford. And Elle, this is Elle's last Saturday before she clears off to uni. So we bless Elle, we appreciate her, and look forward to relating to her still as part of the house. And for the ones who are not going anywhere because you're staying in York, we like you just as much as well. All right. Okay, so I'll be also glad when all the holidays are over, and I'm really hoping in 2 weeks' time we can get everybody here, because when we get everybody here, there's a lot of us. It's just we've grown very lax to getting everybody here, so I'm looking forward to that in 2 weeks, and looking forward to seeing you here, which is a gentle slap to say it's important. Also, for those of you who have been following our little pilgrimage journey in respect to Salt Lake City, I got a response from one of the guys we met at a place called Genesis Project in Ogden, Matt Roberts. And so I'm heading out there next month to spend a little time with Matt and see what they're up to. And I think it's the doorway for us into all that we're doing. So it's happening bit by bit. So we appreciate your prayers, and we'll keep you informed on what's going on. All right, tonight, I want to read you a little portion from the Bible, from the Old Testament. Some great stories in there, really. There are a lot of you that don't bother reading the Bible, and you need to bother, and you say, well, I don't think I can understand it. But when I watch the rubbish you watch on TV, you can understand the Bible if you can understand that, okay? If you're into Kardashians, there's some good stuff in the Bible, all right? Anyhow, this story is a way old ancient story. It's brilliant, full of life. And it's about a guy called Jacob who generationally was important in the process of Bible, for those of you not familiar with Bible. And he'd got some issues with his brother because he did some stuff against his brother that was coming back to haunt him, like it tends to do when we do stuff in life. And this story picks up kind of a few verses from the incident where he's about to have to face up to his brother and all the stuff that's gone on. So this is what it says. That night Jacob got up and took his 2 wives. Don't do that now, do we? His 2 maidservants and his 11 sons and crossed the ford of Jabbok. After he'd sent them across the stream, he sent over all his possessions. So Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him until daybreak. When the man saw that he could not overpower him, he touched the socket of Jacob's hip, so that his hip was wrenched as he wrestled with the man. Then the man said, "Let me go, for it's daybreak." But Jacob replied, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." The man asked him, "What is your name?" "Jacob," he replied. Then the man said, "Your name will no longer be Jacob, but Israel, because you have struggled with God and with men and have overcome." And Jacob said, "Please tell me your name." But he replied, "Why do you ask my name?" Which being interpreted is, "Stupid question," because you already know. Then he blessed him there. So Jacob called that place Peniel, saying, "It is because I saw God face to face, and yet my life was spared." And the sun rose above him as he passed Peniel, and he was limping because of his hip. All right, so I laid awake in the middle of the night wrestling. I don't mean wrestling Chris, but wrestling. You know when stuff is just there, and sometimes you don't even know what the stuff is or where some of the stuff came from, but there's this stuff and you're wrestling with stuff. Sometimes it happens because of an incident that's occurred during the day. Sometimes it happens because of financial worries or relationship worries, all kinds of stuff, but you're wrestling. And as much as you'd like to stop it, somehow the wrestle goes on. And so I'm wrestling in the night, last night, crying out to God, when I suddenly realize what lies within the word wrestle. It's embedded there like the sword in the stone in the legend of King Arthur. Do you remember that legend of King Arthur, where Merlin puts the sword in the stone so that only the one who's blessed, only the one who's got a future, only the one who's the true king, who's going to have authority, will be able to remove the sword from the stone. Well, this thing that lies in the word wrestle is embedded there like that sword in the stone in the legend of King Arthur. And just like in that legend, it won't come out with struggle. You can't get this thing released by struggling, no matter how great you struggle. And so the issue is that when you begin to remove letters from the word wrestle, it's interesting that embedded within it, you find something very significant, he said, which is the word rest. Those two things seem to be diametrically opposed, in total conflict to each other, and yet the thing embedded within the word wrestle is the word rest. And in wrestle, we are wanting to rest, but we don't realize that the rest actually lies within the wrestle. Let me say a few things, and again, for time's sake, I'll do a lot of soundbite stuff tonight, okay? So hopefully you'll remember the soundbites, but we won't over-explain. Struggling and wrestling are two different things. We often confuse struggling with wrestling. Let me explain what I mean. Struggling is when you are desperately trying to get away from someone or something. You put up a struggle, but you're struggling to get away. Wrestling is when you positively engage with the objective of overcoming. So in struggling, you're trying to get away. In wrestling, you're seeking to engage. Struggling and wrestling are two different things, and we can confuse them. Worrying is not wrestling. So when we talk about wrestling, worrying is not wrestling. Worrying is strife. Strife is vigorous or bitter conflict, discord, or antagonism. When strife happens, we worry. When stuff's not going how we thought it should go, we worry. But Jesus spoke some very interesting words about worry. He said, you can't worry yourself bigger. You can't worry yourself better. He put it this way. He said, what man, by worrying, can add a single inch or centimeter or meter to his height? What man can change what he looks like by worrying? What man can grow more and become more fruitful by worrying? But we somehow are so attached to worrying that we think our worrying will produce a benefit, which is why Jesus said, don't worry. Now that's easier said than done, because we do tend to worry, but he said, don't worry, because worrying is not going to produce any fruit, any growth, any betterment. It's only going to cause you to decrease and suffer, because worrying leads us to struggle. And struggle is not wrestle. Worry is the wrong strategy to resolve the wrestle. But when you're wrestling with stuff, we tend to think worry is a good strategy to resolve the wrestle. How many of you know it never resolves it? Okay? It just puts it under the surface. So it caused me to ask the question, is there any true rest without wrestle? Is it possible to find extensive and complete rest in the human spirit, in the human heart, without wrestle? Because rest lies within wrestle. And so, is it a true knowledge of what the wrestle is about? Is that critical to resolving the wrestle into rest? So do we need a true knowledge of what the wrestle is about if we are going to resolve the wrestle into rest? That means a willingness to face what is it that's actually causing this, because worry is just a sidetrack. Struggle is a sidetrack. What is really at the root of this? And so this story of Jacob that we read, what's interesting is, in this prophetic flow that we are experiencing so much at the moment, it's fascinating what is happening, because I didn't particularly think I'd like to talk about this story of Jacob. But as I was up in the middle of the night with this wrestle, I felt I need to talk about this story of Jacob now. So here's what happened. I am doing some stuff in the night preparing for this, and working this morning on it. Lunchtime comes, and I sit down and watch the TV a little bit while I'm eating my lunch, which is a little bit of microwave Chinese, which is really nice, just in case you want some details. So I'm enjoying my Chinese and my glass of wine, and I flip the TV on, and I'm not a big fan, if you hadn't figured it out, of Christian TV, okay? I'm just not. But I flipped on Christian TV. And I am a lesser fan of Christian dramas. It's like, leave it alone, leave it to the real professionals, get on with what we do best, but don't make movies and films. Just don't. But in all my angst about all that, I flipped it on, and lo and behold, there is a show on there on Christian TV, and at the point I flip it on, it's Jacob and his two wives and his children about to leave his uncle Laban's house, which is what happens in the previous chapter to this, and going out to meet his brother Esau, which is the surrounding story to this, and as I flip it on, there's this actor acting out Jacob, doing this very thing that we just read, going over the brook and being alone and wrestling in the night with this man, and his name being changed and his hip being put out of joint. And I'm thinking, maybe this is a sign. So I know it's important. Summary of what we read. We wrestle with our past, we wrestle with ourselves, and we wrestle with God. All of us. All of us. When I say our past, it's all the stuff that happens in our life that really, just like Jacob meeting Esau, we're having to face, but we don't like the idea of facing the stuff that occurs that is connected to our life and our past. And we wrestle with ourselves because we look at our own value and worth and capability and failures and all that stuff. And we wrestle with it. Just like me booking a hotel for the wrong night and losing an hearing aid on the same day. And then dropping the phone 24 hours later and cracking the glass. I mean, that to me is like, I was wrestling. We wrestle with our past. We wrestle with ourselves. We wrestle with God. And in that wrestle that we face, there is always a what, a something, and there's always a who, a somebody. Now, I will guarantee you that the who in the wrestling is not the who that you think it is, because the who in the wrestling is always either you or God. It's not Jenny or Elsie or Bob or Pete. It's you where the battle is. And it's God, our image of God. Where we think God suddenly went to, what we think God might like to do or want to do, those are the things that we wrestle with. And there are times when you have to wrestle if you want to rest. If you're looking for rest, but you're not going to find rest unless you're willing to wrestle. But you have to wrestle with and not strive against. So what we tend to do in life, we don't like the feeling, so we strive against the feeling. And of course, how that tends to manifest is that we what the psychologists call, that has come actually from historic writing in the Bible, we scapegoat, okay? Somebody else's fault, and if we can put all this onto them and send them away, we won't feel this way anymore. It's called scapegoating. And what it means is we never deal with the issues, because the issues you're dealing with, you can't put on someone else because they're on you, okay? You got to deal with them on you and in you. And that was the issue with Jacob. Jacob's problem was never his brother. Even though stuff had happened with his brother, Jacob's problem was himself and God. And if he could fix that, the brother problem would no longer be a problem. There's a verse in the New Testament, book of Ephesians, chapter 6, verse 12, that says, "We do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, powers, rulers, darkness." On it goes. The point being made there is that our fight is not externally with people and stuff. Principalities, just as readily I've taught about this before, means first things, principle, first things. We wrestle against what is first in our life. Against powers, that literal Greek there means as much the power of choice. We struggle to make choices because we didn't resolve what should be first in our life. And then against the rulers, the things that rule. So we wrestle against the things that are ruling and controlling our life because we wouldn't make choices about the things that have become first. Because when we get the right things first, by the choice that we made, because we've decided we want to rule other than the situation, what Jesus said happens when you seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, stuff gets added to you, not taken away from you. I believe this story helps us to understand this and these principles. Now, the surrounding story is one of attempts to appease Jacob's brother, the thing that we read, okay? His brother really represents the aspects of Jacob's life that were threatening and unresolved. So we're all in situations where we have to meet our brother. But this is just a story to show you a principle. Okay, you don't have an Esau necessarily. Some of you may have a physical brother that is a situation, but that's not really the point. The point is the aspects of our life that represent threatening and unresolved things. That's why we wrestle. We feel threatened. I won't have enough. I won't be enough. It's not going to work. I won't survive. All these things that are threatening us when we're wrestling, and also the issue of the unresolved, the stuff in our lives that's not resolved. We haven't resolved who we are. We haven't resolved who God really is. We haven't resolved what we think. We haven't resolved what we believe. We haven't resolved how we're going to live and what we're going to do. We haven't resolved how we're going to respond to life and to people. So unresolved things and threatening things become the brother that every one of us faces when we're having those moments where we are wrestling. That's what's going on. That's why I said you have to resolve what's at the bottom of the wrestling. That's what's at the root of it. So Jacob needed God at this moment. I am an absolute believer that there are some moments critically when we need God. I think we need Him all the time, but we need God in our lives. I'm kind of an atheist who believes in God because I don't believe in the God of the nonsense that some people have talked about God, because they're more interested in replicating Him with Greek and Roman gods than they are with the Abba, the Father of Jesus. I'm not interested in that God, and will speak against that system. But the God of Jesus, the Abba of Jesus, we need Him. You need Him. And Jacob needed God at this moment. Now, he'd acquired in his life lots of stuff. He'd actually been quite successful since leaving where he lived with his brother and cheating his brother out of his inheritance. Jacob had in many ways outwardly done all right for himself, as the saying goes. The issue is, though, that he needed God at this moment, not cattle, not sheep, not a university degree, not good political and negotiating skills, not good management ability. He needed God. And I need you to know you can't figure your way out of most of the real issues of life, right? You can figure your way out some of the stuff that's not real issues, but the real issues, when it gets down to the inner you and the stuff we wrestle over in the night, you can't figure that out. That's where God comes in the story. But something is important here. He needed a God compassionate towards his needs, yet helpful toward his condition. See, we often like to think it would be good to have a God, who I believe is like it, who's compassionate to our needs, but we also need one who's helpful to our condition. Because it was he who needed changing, not it. It wasn't an it that needed changing, it was he that needed changing. What's fascinating is, this guy wrestling with him, I believe, was God. He was a manifestation of God. He turns up from nowhere into nowhere and picks a fight. You don't realize sometimes when you're wrestling, God picked a fight with you. Not to hurt you, but to help you. Not to damage you, but to release you. And he's picked the fight to wrestle. It's not a fight to the death in one sense, but in the other sense, it is a fight to the death, but not in the way that you would understand it. So God picks a fight with him. because something needed changing. What's fascinating is this. God says, your name is Jacob, which means, depends how you look at it, cheat, deceiver. But now your name will be Israel. That's where the whole story of Israel starts to come. It all goes a bit awry and gets, some truth needs to be spoken about what happened to that story. But this is where the story started. I'm changing your name from Jacob, cheat, right? He knew he was, to Israel. Now, Israel means prince with God. Remember the sword in the stone? That within that word wrestle, what lies within that word? That within that word, there is embedded, like the sword in the stone, in the legend, it's embedded like the sword in the stone. And the thing is, only the prince, Arthur, could release the stone. It came out of the stone not because he struggled, but because of who he realized that he was. And when he understood who he was able to remove the sword from the stone because only a prince could do it. Isn't it fascinating that the rest could come out of the wrestle because now Jacob the cheat, wrestling with himself with God's help, had become a prince, and now he could remove the sword from the stone, the rest from the wrestle. But you first have to be a prince. You first have to have your name changed. So it wasn't about the situation resolving, it was about the change that took place in Jacob's life when he was willing to engage with the process of wrestling with himself and with God. That's when it changed. So, it was he and not it that needed changing. This is one battle you face alone. It says when everybody had gone and he was left alone when it started. This is one battle you face alone. It's one for the darkness of night. It's one you can't buy yourself out of. You must wrestle through it. Your achievements and possessions are worth little or nothing when it comes to the internal issues of the journey through life. And a word for all of you looking for your destiny and purpose in life. I don't care if you've got degrees and doctorates coming out of your ears and every other orifice. I don't care if you're the most skilled artist or the most capable communicator. Your achievements and possessions are worth little or nothing when it comes to the internal issues of the journey through life, when you're in the middle of the night and you're on your own and you start to wrestle. They count for nothing. All that counts is your honesty and God. If you can get those two things together, you're coming out of the wrestle at rest. And that's why many of us don't come out of the wrestle at rest. It also says he wrestled until daybreak. That means he wrestled all night. Here's the point. If you stop wrestling too soon, you may leave without purpose. If you, because of the wrestle and the activity involved in wrestling with these issues, pull out too soon, you will leave without purpose, only to be in another night and God picking another fight, because he's desperate in his kindness to help you wrestle through that issue so you can find yourself as a prince and God is the one who's brought you through to a place of rest. So it's not about defeating, it's about letting go. See, the story says, the guy says, let me go. And Jacob says, I will not let you go unless you bless me. He's going to have to let him go. But the story's not about who defeats who. It's about a willingness to let go. In all of our situations, the question is not about defeating the things that happen in life. It's about a willingness to let them go. When you let them go, funnily enough, the anxiety and the stress and the pain and all that stuff that was upon you because you're trying to defeat it rather than let it go, all that stuff tends to disappear. And so he said, I will not let you go unless you bless me. It's about the moment of recognition that God picked a fight with you and did it to bring you to a place of rest. And if you're willing, that is to wrestle and receive, you find that place of rest. It's about letting go, being inseparably attached to the need and desire for blessing beyond your own capabilities. See, it's time we got inseparably attached to our need for blessing. I need a blessing from God. I've spent too long in life to think that I can make it without something beyond myself. I am inseparably attached to my need and desire for a blessing beyond my own capabilities. And that's what God was trying to attach Jacob to. Not for more stuff, but for more grace. The answer's not more stuff, the answer is more grace. And when you come to the place of grace, that's when you find a place of rest. And so what happened was, this figure, this God who he met, touched his hip and put his hip out of joint. And so when all this was over, Jacob walked with a limp. Might say, what was all that about? It's all about the fact that not only has your name changed when you resolve this, not only does who you are become something very different, and that becomes very princely, but how you walk changes as well. And what people see of your walk changes as well. See, the person that has wrestled through some things with themselves and God and come to a place of rest, they're the ones who've pulled the sword from the stone. They're the ones being equipped to reign in life. They're the ones who wrestled to rest. And they're the ones who tend to walk with a limp. Now, obviously, I don't mean literally, hey, but you know in that person's life, from the story of their life, that they walk with a limp. There is an imperfection to their own abilities that is evident to everybody. That's not a mark of shame, that's the mark of grace. That's the mark that that person wrestled with the real issues, with reality, with themselves, and with God, and have come out with a limp. If somebody hasn't got a limp in their character, their personality, their presentation, don't follow them, because they haven't wrestled with God to the point of blessing, where they can take the sword from the stone and have come to a place of rest in the midst of chaos because they went through the wrestle. If you find a perfect pastor, do two things. Number one, tell me who you think he is. And number two, don't follow him. But if you've found somebody with a limp, they've been in the middle of the night alone wrestling with the God-man. And some things have changed within them about who they thought they were and who now God says that they are. And out of that, they're walking knowing that it's not the adversities of facing the brother, the difficulties, the challenge, but it's the issue. They've resolved it with God, and there is a solution outside of the situation that is available to every man, woman, boy, and girl, because God wants to do the same thing. So, let me make some quick statements to finish. I believe one of the things we've realized, and it's one of the changes that we're trying to bring, is some of you are not comfortable with the wide open spaces of discovery. So we've been a little reluctant to impose upon you what you should think rather than teaching you how you should think. That's my process of theology, not to tell you what to think, but to try and teach you how to think, so that in that process you come to this life for yourself, free of control and manipulation, but by revelation, because you met God yourself and you understand. But I've also realized, and the leadership have, that some of you can't figure all that out as easily as others. And sometimes you need to know, and Chris, Jenny, Joel, what is it that you believe? Well, this is what I believe, okay? You can choose to believe this if you wish. I believe this. I believe that in the midst of every wrestle, there is a rest. Every wrestle. Everyone. Some of you have been through the most obnoxious circumstances in life. Frighteningly horrible. But to you also, in the midst of every wrestle, there is a rest. There is a peace that passes understanding. Why? Because you don't find it in the resolution of circumstance through circumstance. You find it in the resolution of the wrestle of your own heart, because you meet God in the midst of it and you get changed. That's who I was, Jacob, but this is who I am, Israel. That's who I was, liar and cheat. This is who I am, prince and princess. Here's the second thing I believe from this story, that God may not always be instantly recognizable, but he is involved. Jacob wasn't quite sure who this dude was who jumped him in the middle of the night. It's like, what the flip? Of course, that's not in the Bible because you wouldn't write that. But I can guarantee you he didn't just think, oh, here's somebody to wrestle with, right? What the flip? What's... Well, that's a reality in my life. I don't know about your life. And we don't always instantly recognize that it's the God-man, but he is involved. And the more you get involved with the wrestle, the more you will understand that this one who has involved himself with you is actually the solution to your problem, not the compounder of your problem. An openness to God's involvement, but realizing we think, oh, God would come along and say, Jacob, bless you, my child. Wouldn't have worked. He'd have said, thank you, because I am pretty blessable, aren't I? After all, look at the flocks, the herds, the wives, the children. See, it doesn't always help that. That doesn't resolve it. When we are caused to wrestle with the real issues of our life, that's when real value takes place. So God is not one just to come around and bless you, bless you. He says, all right, let's have a wrestle. But why? I don't have to wrestle. No, it's going to help you. So Jacob got involved and he said, I'm not going to let you go. Right? I'm not going to let you go until you bless me and unless you bless me, because whatever it is that's in the way, I'm doing this till I'm blessed. Okay? Now that's why I say we get out too soon. In the wrestle, we have to say, I'm not getting out of this until I know that I'm blessed. And when I know that I'm blessed, empowered, touched, then I'll stop the wrestle. But I'm staying with it until I know that I'm blessed. There does come an end to it. That's why in the Bible, the dawn coming is always a wonderful thing, because it means that what you are going through comes to an end. The dawn will always come. The sun will rise on a new day. How many of you know the sun never rises on an old day? Oh, well, the sun came up yesterday morning. How many of you know the sun always comes up on a new day? And if we would learn that the sun only ever rises on a new day because it's set on an old day, and God's screaming at us in the wrestle saying, listen, I know what happened in that day. I know what went on, but you need to understand, just like the sun goes down and there is darkness and the wrestling happens in the darkness, the sun comes up on a new day. The promise of the kingdom of God is a new day for every man, boy, woman, and girl who will receive in the wrestle the blessing that comes from the one who is wrestling with you. I implore you tonight, receive the blessing. Okay, just 4 more things that I believe. That fleeing rather than finishing leaves you unchanged but not unmarked. So when you run away, rather than finishing the wrestle, it leaves you unchanged but not unmarked, because you tend to have the bruises and the scars of all that you were wrestling with, but nothing changed. Far better to stay with the wrestle until something changes, because then the mark that is on you will not be the scars of a battle. It will be the touch of a blessing. It will be the testimony. Here's 3, 2, 1. That every wrestle holds the promise of a new and renewed you. I believe that. That you let go, not because you are weak, but because you are blessed. Okay? I'm going to say, oh, let go of everything because you're weak. But you can let go of it when you're blessed, because the blessing supersedes all the stuff that we need to let go of. And here's the last one. I believe that you will always walk away with a limp when you've engaged in this wrestle with God. There'll always be something about who you are now and how you walk that says to everybody, I wrestle with God and with man, and I overcame. And I am here now out of that adversity as a blessed man, a blessed woman, a blessed boy, and a blessed girl. Now let me finish it with this. Out of this experience, Jacob then meets his brother Esau, who he cheated out of his father's birthright as the firstborn son. He was a bit of a creep and a sneak. And his brother had every right to take revenge upon Jacob. But the story is showing us the change that occurs. As Jacob changed, what happens? He meets his brother the next day. It says his brother put his arms around his neck and hugged him and kissed him. All the angst and the anxiety was gone because something had changed. Now you say, well, it's because his brother was different. I don't think his brother was different without the wrestle that Jacob had in the night. But once Jacob had resolved Jacob, and once Jacob had resolved God, brother got resolved, okay? It's a lesson. Your circumstance will be resolved when the wrestle with you and God is engaged and when you take it all the way through to the place of rest. When for you the sword comes out of the stone and you say, hey, I'm not a cheat anymore. I'm a prince. I'm a princess. Rest lies within the wrestle. So wrestle away. But wrestle away to the point where you say, I have a blessing that is beginning in my life that is going to revolutionize my very existence. I will be born again. I will be renewed. My situation will have changed to me because I have changed to me. And above it all, to realize that this is not about you bettering yourself. It's not about self-help. It's about realizing there is a God, and this God who was the Father of Jesus, who came to be the Father, is picking a fight with us so that in the wrestle we'll come to the kind of rest that we only ever dreamed about, and so that in that rest the sun rises for us on a new day. Let's pray. You in the very beginning, God, set up creation in a way that we would always have a sunrise, that the sun would always come up. And that our life's pattern is not meant to go from morning to evening, it's meant to go from evening to morning. It's meant to come out of the darkness into the glorious light. And I know today, Father, that there are many wrestles in here, and there are many Esau's of brothers that we have to meet and encounter, but I also know that you're the same one picking the fight with us to wrestle us through to a change in our own lives, that if we will let go of our own agenda, of our own ideas and our own ideals of ourself and you, and we will allow you to be the one you came to be as the Redeemer of our life, that radical and dynamic change happens to us. I release that in this place tonight. I release it over every life. I release it into every heart. And pray that the dawn is coming real quick. But most of all, thank you that your intent towards us is always to bless and not to curse. That you come to release us from the horrors of the struggle into the fulfillment of the wrestle, so that we find a rest that releases the most incredible blessing from heaven upon our lives. We thank you for your blessing. Let it flow in abundance, and lives be touched. And our testimony be, look, I have a limp because I'm blessed of God. We ask all this in your name, by your Spirit, in Jesus' name, amen. All right, we're done. We love you. Bless you. Look forward to seeing you again next week. Have fun.
Thanks for watching. You can find out more about all The Rock is doing locally and internationally at www.rockofyork.co.uk. If you consider yourself part of our growing global community, then why not support The Rock from wherever you are? Just hit the donate button on our homepage to help us help others.